Central Jury Room of the Hood County Justice Center at 1200 West Pearl. Would y'all please stand for the invocation and the pledges?
Please join me in prayer. Lord, we come to you as humble servants. We beseech you to lift us up, guide us, provide us with your wisdom. We look for your guidance in all things. Help us to perform our duties and responsibilities at the highest level. Infuse us with your sense of tolerance. Arm us with your wisdom. We seek your guidance. We ask you to be vigilant for our troops and bring them home safely. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Y'all join me in the pledge to this great nation. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Join me in the pledge to Texas.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank y'all very much. Is there any special presentations this morning, Richard? Sheriff? Is this, we're doing Denise for 5 years, is that right?
Yes, sir. Denise Liza's been with us for 5 years in patrol, but she's wearing a uniform today because she's helping in patrol again because we're shorthanded out there. So I want to congratulate Denise for 5 years of service to Hood County.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Road Ops, you have a presentation this morning?
Not here.
Judge Patrick Soderman has 5 years in, but he's unable to make it this morning.
Is he out working, Don?
Yes, he's
Okay,
our
very
mechanic,
good.
so he's busy.
Thank you very much. Okay, does any citizen wish to make any comments about any agenda item? I have one here, and if you do, just raise your hand. The sheriff will have a form. Anyone else? Well, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Does any commissioner wish to pull anything off of the consent agenda? Any item?
H, please.
Pardon?
H.
Commissioner Berry wishes to pull off H. Is there anyone else? Then I will entertain a motion to approve all of the consent agenda items except item H.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Deaver. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Barton. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
On letter H, I'd just like that we make a motion to accept the donation, but put it in the Healthy County line item for the county employees.
Okay, I have a motion made by Commissioner Berry to accept the donation from the Way Church and be put in a line item for Healthy County. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Tout. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is subdivision roads and plats. Discuss and take appropriate action on accepting the following dedicated roadways in Rolling Hill Shores, Precinct 1, for passable maintenance unto the county road system. And we have 3 items there. Are you taking them all at once? Or?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We have Elman Street from Indian Gap Street to Blue Ridge Road at 855 feet. Blue Ridge Road from DeLeon Drive to the cul-de-sac at 830 feet. And Shoreline Court from Indian Gap Street to its cul-de-sac, 1,385 feet. These 3 are all out of the Rolling Hills subdivision in Precinct 1. The total so far with all the precincts is every precinct, with the exception of Precinct 3, is right at a mile up to this point. I also gave in your packet what we have so far since July, as of July of this year coming up that will certify the last court in July. It also shows the roads that were taken during the annexation back in January for the city of Granbury. So basically at the end, at the bottom of that worksheet that you have, that's what we have if these three are approved, what we'll have currently.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the following streets into the county passable maintenance system. The Alderman Road, our street from Indian Gap Street to Blue Ridge Road, 855 feet. Blue Ridge Road from De Leon Drive to the cul-de-sac, 830 feet. And Shoreline Court from Indian Gap Street to the cul-de-sac, 1,385 feet.
Motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Deaver. Do I have a second?
Second?
Seconded by Commissioner Barton. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
Budget and Finance. Consider budget line item amendments.
Judge and Commissioners, we don't have any extra budget amendments today, but in lieu of a budget amendment, the purchasing agent would like to address the court on a policy decision for purchasing some furniture out of supplies.
Good morning. Judge Walton's office has asked that they be allowed to use their supply line to purchase a custom clerical credenza for his office. This will match his existing furniture. I told them that it's more than $250. In fact, they want to order it from the Texas Correctional Industries, which is the jail system that actually the inmates make a lot of the furniture. But it's $1,107.49 that they want out of their supply line. So I told them I'd have to get it approved by you guys.
Okay, hearing Nelda's request from the district judge, is there a motion to accept this?
I'll make that motion.
All right, I have a motion made by Commissioner Tout. Do I have a second?
Second?
Seconded by Commissioner Barton. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Consider payment of bills for the period of June the 2nd through June the 15th.
Judge and Commissioners, the total of these bills is $566,651.62. They are listed for you on your reports. Among the larger items, there's $16,561.43 to Ben E. Keith Company for jail groceries. There's an internal transfer to the Indigent Defense Fund for attorney fees that have already been paid in the amount of $20,019.50. There's a payment scheduled to Night Security Systems of $17,759.25 for security systems for county buildings. For contract mowing of right-of-way to MGM Landscape Services, $27,849.37. To Somerville County for inmate custody, $26,828. And to WB Kibler Construction Company Limited for YMCA construction progress payment, $191,242.80. We ask your approval to pay these bills.
Okay, you've heard the bills read by our county auditor. Is there any further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Berry. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Deaver to approve paying the bills or ratify paying the bills. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much, Stan.
Yes.
Pursuant to Local Government Code 152.014, a salary grievance committee is to be selected. So I have a list of names here that I'm going to put in an envelope and shake them up and draw out the names of the number of people. there's 30 people that are in this list. And let's see, okay. Do you want to draw the names, Butch?
Sure.
Yeah.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, read it off to me.
Sharon Hankins Ferris. Teresa Lynn Campbell. Virginia Wynn Ross. How many do you want?
12.
Stephen Douglas Quinn.
Wait just a second. Oh, yeah, okay, go ahead.
Melissa Ann Fowler.
Okay.
Bobby Lynn Jefferson. Theda Bostic Davis. Tammy Lynn Hickey. Jake Ross Caraway. Laura Lee Life. Harold Albert McLeod. Joanne Lakota Hopper.
Hold on one second. I'm trying to find all of these names. Hopper is the last one?
Yes, sir.
All right, now who was the first one selected?
Sharon H. Ferris.
Ferris?
Sharon Hankins Ferris.
Okay.
Was the first one drawn.
All right.
That should be 12, sir.
Okay, have 12 names selected, and thank you very much for doing that.
Motion, we accept those 12 names, and you can notify them for the grievance committee.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Berry to accept these 12 names drawn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Tout. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion carried. Thank you all very much. All right, the next item on the agenda is miscellaneous. Discuss and take appropriate action to allow Veteran Days Appreciation Committee to hang a plaque in the courthouse naming the student essay winner, along with the winner student essay honoring Veterans Day. What Veteran Days means to me. The annual written essay will be framed and hang for 1 year in the courthouse. This plaque will list the names of the annual winners. Does anybody have a problem with this plaque honoring the veterans and the essay from the school?
I have a few concerns. I mean, the courthouse is still a going concern, and it's a business. And I just feel that it's not the appropriate place to hang articles like that. I think there are more appropriate places than the county courthouse.
Where would you, where would that be?
VFW halls, you know, someplace where veterans congregate. I think that would be more appropriate.
I'd like to offer a comment. I think for the widest dissemination or widest recognition, the courthouse would be appropriate as a central location. I'm not opposed to having copies of it at VFW halls and things of that nature for even wider recognition, but I think, in my view, the courthouse is appropriate.
Does any other commissioner have any comments?
Who's going to frame this and make sure it's maintained and handled?
The Veterans Day Appreciation Committee.
We've had the World War II, or World War I and II War Memorial down there. I don't have an issue with it, but, you know, in light of what's happening right now across the county with censorship, we have to be really careful what we put into, if we're going to allow this, who shows up with another item, we're going to have to be, you know, proactive or reactive, so to speak. So, I mean, I have no problem with what they're wanting to do, but it seems like everything we do in our job is what's going to happen where the hammer drops next. So, you know, I won't have a problem with it, because I think it is, as Jeff said, it's in a building where a lot of people do go in and look for the history, so they'll see it. As long as someone's going to maintain it, make sure that it's hung properly, because we're dealing with a historic commission. But next 2 weeks from now, we could have somebody showing up here wanting to put up something else. So, you know, that's the kind of things we're dealing with every day.
Okay.
I make a motion that we allow them to proceed with this, and we'll deal with it, I guess, case-by-case basis.
Okay, I have a motion made by Commissioner Berry to allow the Veterans Day Appreciation Committee to hang a plaque in the courthouse naming the student essay contest winner, along with the winning student's essay honoring Veterans Day, what Veterans Day means to me. And it'll be hanging for 1 year, and then the next year they'll have another one, and it'll replace that one. So do I have a second for that?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Barton. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. A motion carried. Thank you very much. Consider take appropriate action on the appointment to the Hood County Library Advisory Board for the 2015 to 2018 for Rose Simpson to replace Jacqueline Bradshaw, whose term has expired. David Wells, the chairman of the Library Advisory Board, emailed this request. And Rose is, you want to come forward and make a statement?
Judge, Commissioners, I'm David Wells. I'd just like to welcome Mrs. Simpson to the board. She was unanimously approved. A great background in education, library, Fort Worth native, and finally moved back to the great state of Texas from California. So, not to mention, she's a published poet. So we might get a little more class on our group. So, Rose, welcome to if the commissioners agree.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Rose Simpson to replace Jacqueline Bradshaw, whose term has expired for the Library Advisory Board for the 2015-2018 term.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Deaver. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Berry. Any further discussion? Then all in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion carried. Discuss and consider request from Rancho Brazos Community Center Director to erect a bus stop shelter on county property located at the 3200 Tumbleweed Lane. Commissioner, Precinct 3, do you want to address that?
Yes, Asomatics requested that they put a covered bus stop for the kids who meet the bus in Rancho Brazos. He sent the pictures to Dawn. They want to put it on the corner of Tumbleweed, and it doesn't impede sightline for driving, and it provides cover for kids as they're waiting for the bus stop, and I think it's a great idea.
It's on
Question
county
is,
property.
who's going to be responsible for maintaining it?
Once the county takes it, it will be our responsibility. Would you like to speak?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Commissioner. I'm Asa Maddox. I'll be the one, and a friend of mine will be the one doing the construction on this bus stop. We have the one that you're showing right now is at the American Legion on their property. It serves the kids from getting in and out of the rain, the sun, so on and so forth, whatever the climate conditions may be. I think it's a good thing. The one that we built at the Legion was suggested by one of the members of the community. They would be nice. So I was told by the lady up there at the community center that she'd like to try to build one. So I told her we would build it for her. The cost is kind of minimal. I believe the church or the community center is going to fund that building. I will be getting donations probably from Home Depot and Ingham's Concrete Company for some donation of the wood and concrete. And if there's any other questions, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I'll entertain a motion to allow the Brazos Rancho Community Center to erect a bus stop shelter on the property located at 3200 Tumbleweed Lane.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Tout. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Berry.
That's the county property where the tornado debris was piled, right, Jeff? Is that correct?
No, it's closer to the corner.
By the church?
By the,
Or the
by the.
community center.
Community center, yeah.
I meant the
Yeah.
community center.
It's just it will be to the north of the playground.
Okay.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Sheriff's Office, consider and take appropriate action regarding a request to cover the blind spots at the jail with additional cameras.
Judge, Commissioners, I asked that this be put on the agenda. I know we had the budget hearings back on June 2nd and June 3rd. But we had that escape that happened on May 13th. And after that time, we realized there's spots that weren't covered with cameras. And so we had those dead spots in there. So I talked to Jackie about getting night security out there to do a quote to look everything over and see what needed to be improved from the system we have now and with wider view cameras and adding some extra cameras. So on June 4th is when Jackie received the quote, the proposal 14589, and then I think I received it to actually look at it the next week following that. So that's why I'm just now getting it put on the agenda. So this would enhance what we've already done, and the cost is $7,500.
$7,500?
Yeah, for that part.
Will that eliminate all blind spots in the jail?
Yeah, we had them look it over, and we've looked it over, the people that look at the system day to day, and we found out like one of the spots where the inmate was able to get out of his cell and work in this crash gate area, which is about 5 foot by 5 foot square. There isn't a camera in there. In the main part of the run, then the jailers are sitting out there and watching them. In this part of the building, this is the old female section, and so we've done things different with who we're going to keep back in those cells now for sure. But the only time it gets looked at is every 15 minutes when they come and do their walkthrough. So he could hear the door open. We're going to take that door off, I think, too. And then when he had time to get back into his cell, they come down, look, everything's fine, and he'd go back out, the person, whether it was a female or a male, and then back off to doing other logs. So it's a blind spot in 2 crash gates down that female run that aren't covered with cameras, plus repositioning some cameras and getting some wider view cameras in around the control room, looking down the hallways, things of that nature. We're all included in this.
How much are you asking for the court to pay for this, Roger? I know we had some discussion.
Yeah, I talked to you the other day about this. The second item in the agenda is consider take appropriate action regarding the interview system at the LEC. So that part, that was brought to my attention late in the winter that we're having problems with that one. And so I asked to go ahead and get a quote done up from Night Security. That was really before we started officially using them, but we knew we were going in that direction because they had the state contract and the best quality, best overall record of everything. So we got a quote from them to do that, and that cost is $5,449.06. This is to replace the interview camera and recording system that it's housed back in the squad room down by Captain Smith's office, and then it works the controls in the interview room down by Debbie Armstrong's office, the main interview room, and then there's one on the other side of the building over by, well, down the other hallway. And then it's tied into the front up there where the investigators' hallway is, so they can get the recordings and watch the recordings while somebody's being interviewed up there. So it's, that's something that gets used multiple times during the day, practically 7 days a week. Everybody comes up, whether it's the Texas Rangers or whoever, we've got the people in the jail, so that's why they come up there, and that's why those interview rooms get used so much. So it's something that I need to replace. The audio part to the person being interviewed is hardly audible, so this caused problems with the court and all. So what I had told Commissioner Deaver that I'd be willing to, out of my abandoned vehicle budget, pay for that at $5,449.06, because that's something we really need to get done. And on the other request, I guess that, you know, I'm bringing it to your attention. We have some blind spots. Here's what it costs. So I'm just throwing that out there. If there's money available, then I think we need to move forward. If not, then I understand. I guess my top priority would be the interview room that I need to get, and on that, I'd be willing to pay for that out of abandoned vehicle just to get it done and get it going.
Judge, the problem I have with this is that we just spent $68,000 on upgrades of cameras at the jail. The court appointed a committee of people to go around and look at all the cameras and all the angles we needed, and we spent $68,000, and now less than 2 months later, we're back to the drawing board asking for $13,700 for additional cameras. Sheriff and I had a conversation yesterday morning. It wasn't real pleasant about it, but my point was 3 weeks ago we had budget discussions. I have 20 other elected officials asking for items that we're just going to whip through here and paper whip this and let him have it. Then they're going to ask why they don't get the same treatment. There's my issue with this. I have no problem with the fact we need cameras. We had a long discussion in a workshop on these $68,000 worth of cameras. We have the same discussion on this building here for fobs. We had the same discussion at the courthouse and every annex. It's, you know, it was a blind spot for 7 years before that we had an escape. You know, my question is, I mean, there's human error involved at times, but I mean, we can put cameras everywhere, but if you got to watch the cameras constantly to make sure there's not an issue. I have no problem with this, but my aggravation is, it's back to what we do in budget. Why do we have budget hearings if we're not going to actually follow and coincide with them?
Okay.
I understand where the commissioner's coming from, and we overlooked it when we were doing it. Lieutenant Siegler was part of that committee too. They came up here. They went to a lot of different places to look those over. Those blind spots slipped through the cracks, so sorry about that. When I found it, when that...
Blind spots actually through the crack, or just someone need to watch the camera more readily or do a head count?
Both. And so two people...
So was there human error involved in this?
Yes, there was, and 2 people lost their jobs over that.
Okay, so, but the taxpayers are paying for it. That's my point, is that, you know, let's just be perfectly honest with everybody up front. If we have a blind spot, we're going to spend the money to fix it. We've got to take care of public safety. But let's don't candy coat it. People need to do their job and be accountable.
Yes, they do, and that's why they lost their job, because they were not accountable.
Lester, do you want to say anything?
I'd just like to say as a citizen of the county that they have challenges keeping these. That jail's been there 20 years, and we have different criminals than we had 20 years ago. We also have a challenge keeping jailers because we can't pay enough. So anything we can do to keep the bad guys in, because they're all trying to figure out how to get back out, we've seen that.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay,
Your proposal, Roger, is you're asking the court to pay $7,500 for the cameras in the jail. You will take care of the rest, and your,
Yeah, we'll do a budget amendment. I'll get with Stan afterwards to work that out as far as doing that $5,400 budget amendment through paying
for the interrogation room.
for the interview room.
Yeah.
And I ask that if you can find the money to pay for that $7,500 for the other cameras.
okay, does anybody have any other things for Roger? Then I'll entertain a motion. Are we going to take both these at one time? Is that what the deal is? Consider take appropriate action for the interview system at the LEC?
Well, we'll just take the one off, and I'll just do a budget amendment to cover that out of abandoned vehicle. if you
Which one are you
approve that.
taking off?
The $5,400, the item B would be taken off, and we'll pay for that out of abandoned vehicle.
Okay.
Everything, and that has to be approved for me to move money from one place to the other. So I ask that you approve the movement of that money to go to pay for it out of abandoned vehicle for the interview rooms, and then the other one that's on the table is the $7,500.
So the cameras, though, I'd like to hear from somebody like Jackie. Is this going to be a scabbed-in system on the system we just bought for $68,000? Or are they going to be able to connect these cameras? It shows 2 compact indoor mini dust in the vent system, high resistance. I want to know a little bit about these cameras, and is night security, I mean, I'd like to know how we missed this situation when night security came down and you did a walkthrough at night on every building we're supposed to be doing.
Right. I think that some of the challenges that we have, commissioners and judge, is that, as was put forth before, we're dealing with a building that's on getting up in years. Technology, of course, has changed very rapidly along with these times. And you walk through the building, and we've tried to see every angle. We try to catch every angle that we could possibly look at and see every place that we need to put either a camera or some sort of a device to alert someone that something's been opened in some manner. But occasionally you're going to have something with an older building that has also changed its roles a little bit, where this used to be a area that was a female area, and whenever you just look at the way the building was built, at the time you probably wouldn't have thought that someone would escape through there. And so one of the things that we really looked at very closely is that we didn't want to run cabling and things unnecessarily because of the cost that it involved. Every cable that we run in a place like a jail facility is very difficult to run because of it's a hardened facility. And older facilities like that just propose a challenge. So we didn't want to just run cameras just everywhere, extra cables all over the place because of the cost. And that's really one of the reasons we're right there, is that there's just not a way to catch every single angle all the time. I think you put it well, Commissioner, that if we could have cameras on every corner. If you look at some of the facilities, you drive down to some of our new stores, Walmarts and some of the places, just count the cameras on the roof. And I think you'll probably see that they, just on the front of the building, they probably have around 25 cameras. And how, it's just the cost of having those in and replacing those in a facility like the jail.
That's fine, Jackie. I just want to caution the court and everybody to hear this statement. I spent an hour and a half yesterday with Jackie and the judge in his office talking about the budget. Every time we add cameras and arbitrators and new technology, we all were in awe when his budget went up 50%. He has to have storage space for all these video cameras we're doing. So we can only put so many eggs in one basket before they run over and crack. Taxes, when they have to be raised, you need to remember why they're being raised. Because of technology, because of all the things that everyone's asking for and needs.
Yeah, Jackie's storage is coming from every department. It's not just, it's not his.
Right.
It's the sheriff's, it's the county clerk, district clerk, it's everybody.
And this is a challenge that counties and municipalities across the state, really across the nation, are all facing. This same challenge right now is just a great growth of data that we're accumulating and we're wanting to store digitally now instead of in paper files.
Sheriff, a question. Is this decision today being impacted, or should we factor in the fact that we've had a relatively rapid rise in inmate population? That we're sustaining 200 plus, I believe. Granted, they're not all in our facility. We do farm out the female prisoners, but is that something that the court should be taking into consideration in that there's more now to be watched?
No, this jail was built to hold 192 beds and then people down in holding, so it's just, it came to our attention that there's some blind spots, and I'm just asking that we fix those blind spots. If you have the money, great, and if you can't afford it, then we'll do the best we can to continue on. But no, it was built with the intention of holding that many people. We're not exceeding that. That's why we take the females out of county. That's a whole other matter in itself that we have. I think today we had 51 females out of county. So,
thank you.
Okay, well, what's your pleasure on this? Do I have a motion to pay for these cameras for the sheriff?
Item A.
Pardon? A only.
B has been taken. And I appreciate, Steve's comments. We're the bottom line. We got to pay the bills, and there was an oversight overlooked, and it's been taken care of. I'll make the motion that we approve the $7,500 for the cameras.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Deaver. Do I have a second?
Second.
Where's the funds coming from? 55?
Fund 55. Okay, I have a motion made by Deaver, seconded by Commissioner Barton. Is there any further discussion? Then all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Consider and take appropriate action regarding the request for public assistance grant from the Texas Department of Emergency Management through this is Fire Marshal and Auditor.
Judge, Commissioners, this is an item related to the severe rain and flooding event that began on May 8th. During this event, the county has experienced damage in many areas as well as many of our municipalities. This request is action for areas that were damaged within the county. Only the municipalities would be applying for their own assistance. Hood County issued a disaster declaration. It was added to the governor's proclamation. That proclamation was sent up and was accepted at the presidential level. After 30 days, within 30 days of our declaration on May 29th, FEMA requires that a applicant briefing be conducted. That was done on June 17th. A lot of information was gathered at that point. I know Commissioners Deaver and Tout were present. Mr. McBroom was present, as well as other members, and the municipalities were present, as well as Johnson County and their people. This time, if accepted after doing the application process and going through the entire process, there's a potential to recover up to 75% of the costs that have been incurred by the county through FEMA. This time, those costs that I have, but these numbers could change either up or down, is $46,156.59. Based on that number, if we were able to get a full 75% recovery, we'd be looking at $34,617.44. So what I would like to ask the court to consider is allowing us to move forward with the application process so we can continue on.
Furthermore on this, if we continue this, we can opt out anytime at no cost. So if it turns into some headaches, and Stan Hughes there, we can opt out at any time at no cost. I'd like to make the motion for us to continue on with this.
Okay, a motion made by Commissioner Deaver to continue on with this grant application from the Texas Department of Emergency Management. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tout. I know that you raised a question about the Davis-Bacon Act and so forth like that. Are we all in compliance with all of that, reporting on Davis-Bacon?
Judge and Commissioners, you may recall what we did recently on the tornado grant. That was through a different agency, the CDBG. That was a pass-through grant from them. Their documentation requirements are slightly different. I talked with the folks from the Texas Department of Emergency Management and the FEMA representative, and the forms are somewhat different. We would be administering this grant here in Hood County and handling the documentation rather than what we did with the CDBG grant. We had GrantWorks out of Austin as the administrator. The costs on this are not as much as they were. So I believe on this one, what we would have to do is to make sure that we have all the documentation for every expenditure before we submit those expenditures as being eligible for reimbursement. It is a reimbursement, as the Fire Marshal said, at 75%. So to the extent that we don't have records that a given entity, a given contractor, satisfied all the reporting and documentation requirements for the Davis-Bacon Act as it relates to paying all of their workers the prevailing wage in the region, I would not be allowed to submit that and request reimbursement for it. So we would have to scrub all of the documentation and make sure that if we're going to submit it, then we would have to have all the Davis-Bacon Act documentation in place. We would have all the purchasing and procurement documentation in place before we submit for reimbursement. Once we certify that it is qualified and we satisfy their documentation requirements, they would send the money to the county, but we have to stand good for that for a period of 5 years or longer, that they could come and examine it, and if we're found to not have the proper documentation 5 years down the road, we would actually have to pay the money back. So at every turn, whether it's documentation at the Davis-Bacon Act, if it's procurement, what have you, all of those rules that are in the Office of Management and Budget documentation and in the Texas Uniform Grant Management System have to be complied with, and they are very meticulous. So we would just have a documentation chore in front of us, and if, as I said, if we don't have the documentation, I would not be allowed to submit a request for reimbursement.
But all of our reimbursement is within the county. I mean, we didn't sub out any of it, so what Kathy does already, or the Treasurer's Office does for Fair Labor Standards Act and all of the workman's comp, I mean, Don, if we're talking about Rock, we're talking about
Rock
Harbor.
Yeah.
And then a few of the maintenance facilities that Tim listed, most of it's in-house. Is that not correct?
I believe so, but there was several $1,000s that was paid to a couple of subcontractors, a technical company, a concrete company. We would have to get with those vendors and make sure that we knew all of their workers, all of their laborers on the contract, and get their payroll for each week during the contract, and make sure that if we wanted to submit that as part of our reimbursement request, that we had all of the payroll documentation certified.
That wasn't at Rock Harbor, though, was it? No, that's for maintenance, the other stuff you're talking about.
Rock Harbor's all county.
Yeah.
All in-house.
Rock Harbor job is $41,676.39.
That was a washout, right, Commissioner
Yes.
Deaver?
Yes. I think where it stands going, the maintenance part of the contractors, that would be with the maintenance part.
That was with the Facilities Maintenance
Yes.
Department. Yes, sir.
And that- Yeah, their deal was like $4,480.20.
Well, then it's still worth trying to go get the majority of our road ops
Yes,
money back.
I agree.
And I did ask them, we had to go toe-to-toe with the grantor on the CDBG grant, and they required some particular forms for calculating the hourly rate of county workers and the hourly rate for county equipment, the cost of the equipment, how much we had depreciated it, and so forth. I showed those forms to the FEMA representative and the representative from the Texas Department of Emergency Management, and they said that those were CDBG forms, they were not their forms. They may have some other forms, and it will be a process, but instead of having that done by a contractor from Austin, we would handle that documentation in-house.
Okay.
Now, can we secure a bond for the money that we get back, just in case FEMA comes back and wants their money back?
That's an interesting question. I'm not aware of that kind of bond that would be available.
We've already spent the money anyway, right?
Yes.
So we're just trying to get reimbursed under the, so.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? The motion carried. The next item is item 6, is we convene into executive session under Texas Government Code 551.071 to consult with attorney concerning the pending and/or contemplated litigation. And we are, we're not, this is, pardon?
This is over the orchards, is that correct?
Yeah, right, it is over the orchards. We do not have a jury room to go to today because there's trials in both ones. So I'm going to have to ask all of y'all to vacate the room, and so we can have executive session. Thank you very much. Went in at 9:50, and we had a conversation with our attorney on under Local Government Code 551.071. Is there any further action? If not, we're adjourned. Thank you all very much.